Picture a tiger, but not an ordinary tiger. A tiger that wrote its name into history. According to Guinness World Records, the single most dangerous animal in recorded history. Not an army, not a plague. A single female tiger. By official estimates, it killed 436 people. It did this alone with its teeth. But here's the strangest part. This tiger wasn't born this way. Something made it what it became. And that something walked on two legs. By the end of this video, you'll rethink who this story is really about, the tiger or us. It happened in the early 1900s in the foothills of the Himalayas. First in western Nepal, then across the border in the Kumaon region of northern India. It was later given a name, the Champawat Tiger, after the area where it took refuge. From the 1890s to 1907, for nearly 8 years, it moved from village to village. Each death spread more fear than the last. Villagers grew afraid to go to the fields, to fetch water, even to open their doors. Even today, no animal has come close to this number. Not a wolf pack, not a crocodile, not another tiger. The record is still hers. So how could it kill so many people for so long, all alone? The answer is hidden in the unseen part of the story. Years earlier, a hunter's bullet had struck this tiger's mouth. The bullet didn't kill it, but shattered the canine teeth on one side of its mouth. At that moment, no one knew what this would mean. For a tiger, the canines aren't just weapons, they're a survival tool. A deer, a wild boar, when it catches strong, fast prey, it's exactly those teeth that bring it down instantly. With a broken tooth, this was no longer possible. Its natural prey was too fast, too strong for it now. But that single bullet a hunter left behind would lead to 436 deaths 8 years later. A starving predator in the wild chooses the easiest prey. For this broken-toothed tiger, the easiest prey was a human. We walk slowly, we're unarmed, we mostly enter the forest alone. To a tiger, we're an almost defenseless target. Experts today sum it up like this: a tiger isn't born a man-eater. Usually a necessity like injury, old age, or a shortage of natural prey drives it down this path. In this tiger, that necessity was clear. It had no teeth to cut meat easily, but it still had to eat. Nature showed it where it would meet the least resistance. The problem is, once it made that choice, there was almost no going back. Tigers are night hunters by nature. They lie in ambush in the dark, approach silently, and finish it in a single strike. But this tiger was different. It attacked in the middle of the day, under the sun. It may seem like a small detail, but it changed everything. Because villagers were no longer safe at night only, while working in the fields, while going to the water source, they weren't safe even in broad daylight. The hunters sent to the region failed one by one. The tiger threw them off its trail, set ambushes, then attacked without warning. Some villages were completely abandoned. Crops rotted in the fields, no one dared to harvest them. One animal had shut down the daily life of an entire region, and no one could stop it. The Nepalese government finally lost its patience. Military units were sent to the region, but even an entire army couldn't catch this single tiger. As the pressure grew, the tiger moved too. It crossed the border and took refuge in the Kumaon hills of northern India. A problem one country couldn't solve was simply passed to its neighbor. In Kumaon, the deaths continued without a pause. This region, then under British colonial rule, saw the same fear take hold. Bounties were set, experienced hunters were called in. But the tiger stayed one step ahead of everyone tracking it. As the number grew, to the locals this was no longer an ordinary predator. It was an almost supernatural threat. And at exactly this point, a young man whose name no one knew stepped in. His name was Jim Corbett. He wasn't a famous hunter then, just a local who knew the region well. The authorities turned to him as a last chance because everyone before had failed. What set Corbett apart was that he saw the tiger not as a monster, but as a wounded, desperate animal. He followed the tracks one by one, mapped the attack sites, and tried to understand the tiger's pattern of movement. But the tiger was still one step ahead, and the deaths didn't stop. What Corbett was chasing wasn't an ordinary hunt. It was a threat no one had stopped for 8 years. And what would bring it to an end would happen in a single day. That day, a young woman's name went down in history, Premka Devi. She became the tiger's last victim, and her death sealed the hunt's fate. Corbett followed the tracks, tracing the trail of bloodstains step by step. The villagers were afraid to go with him. Some drove the tiger toward the village by screaming, risking their lives. In the end, Corbett came face to face with the tiger. In a single afternoon, he would end 8 years of terror. He raised his rifle and fired. The Champawat tiger died there that day. But the story didn't end here, because the truth revealed when the tiger's body was examined would finally answer the question everyone was asking. The autopsy confirmed everything. The canine teeth on one side of the tiger's mouth were broken, exactly as a hunter's bullet had left them years earlier. At the root of 436 deaths was, in fact, a single bullet fired by a human. Corbett changed after this. He no longer hunted tigers, he devoted himself to protecting them. India's first national park bears his name today, Jim Corbett National Park. He put down his rifle and picked up a camera. In this story, what everyone remembers is the number 436. But what really deserves attention is where that number came from, because history's deadliest animal wasn't born that way. Someone created, and that someone walked on two legs. Do you think the real culprit was the tiger or the hunter who pulled the trigger? Let's meet in the comments.